Sometimes it's hard to see the value that blueprints will provide in the Illuvium ecosystem. But one thing that gets me excited is thinking about all the different items that will be in the future of Illuvium and where they might be used. For example, all of the weapons and suits in Illuvium will not only be used in the current overworld and any future MMO type things, but in future battle royales, alluvial combat, future arena game modes, and other competitive game modes. All of these items will be used, and a lot of people will want to acquire the cosmetic items for all of these things. But let's take us down a slightly different path here. Currently, the weapons are relatively boring. Obviously, they're really cool in themselves, but there isn't a whole lot of variety, and weapon blueprints isn't really going to change that. A green sword with a slightly different pattern to look more like Archie isn't exactly going to make the sword look more diverse and ranged, as everyone would just have different colored swords. That doesn't really make that big of a difference. For example, in Monster Hunter, every single weapon skin looks absolutely phenomenal, but mostly because there's like 8 or 9 different weapon types, and the weapon skins take that even another step further. But that's what I want to talk to you about today. Every single weapon is going to get a visual upgrade at some point in the future, and maybe not that far away, as I'll show you towards the end of this video. But for this example, every single sword in the game has a different name. The T0 sword is called Gladius. Then we have the Saber, Spatha, Falcon, Katana, and the Dao. The Dao, I think, is a Japanese sword. Correct me if I'm wrong, I cannot remember. And what I've done is I've gone through all the swords and all the shields in particular, because they're my 2 favorite weapons, and I've put them all through AI to see if I can make up what these could look like in Illuvium's future, and then I'm going to show you what they might actually look like in Illuvium's future. So first up, we have the Gladius. Now, I've given all of these ones a fire affinity. When I go through the shields, I've given them all an earth affinity. You can see this looks absolutely awesome. From memory, the Gladius is similar to something that might be found in like in the 300 movie, as all of the Spartans use this seem to have used this weapon, but I could be wrong. That being said, Gladius is definitely a Roman word, but yes. The next up we have the Saber. It did not do a good job producing an AI variation of the Saber for me, but it did give me a lightsaber, so I was happy with that, and that is what a Saber could look like in Illuvium if they're crazy and want to get copyrighted. All right. Next up, we've got the Spatha. Obviously not the greatest output as well. The shields did a little bit better, don't you worry. But I really love the way the sword and the blade looks on fire here. Absolutely awesome. The Falcon did a little bit better. This would be a really cool weapon. This kind of looks like something out of Aladdin to me, but I think it would make for a really cool weapon in Illuvium, especially with the blue highlights mixing with the red. It gives it that really crazy sci-fi feel. After that, we have a Katana. This is one of the best AI generations I managed to get, and I would absolutely craft this weapon and attach whatever skin it required with a blueprint to make this weapon happen in the game. After that, we have the Dao, which looks quite similar to the Falcon, but it has less of a crossguard on it. I think it looks pretty cool, but not the best generation I got. So there are 5 different shields as well. The T0 is called the Round. T1 is the Buckler, quite similar to the Round. Then we have the Pelt, Kite, Tower, and the Pathfinder shield, which was the most interesting one and one I got really bad AI generation for. But let's jump into the Round. Here we have the Round. Obviously, when it took Earth very literally in some of these AI generations, but a lot of the purple hues and stuff are really nice for these images. After that, we've got the Buckler, which is very similar to the Round. They're not a whole lot different. I believe one has the orb in the middle and one doesn't necessarily need it. Next up, we have the Pelt, which is more like a crescent shape. Again, taking the Earth thing really literally. But I do think this would be a really cool shield to have inside the Illuvium universe. After that, we've got a Kite shield. Obviously, it gets its name because it looks kind of like a kite. Next up, we have the Tower shield. Something huge and monstrous would be really cool in the Illuvium overworld, especially for alluvial combat. Imagine if you have your Kite shield, put it up in front of you, and really block a lot of incoming attacks from a Duelef. That would be absolute peak when it comes to Illuvium. After that, we have the Pathfinder shield, which is a little bit of a mix between a kite and a tower shield, and looks absolutely beastly here. Again, would be really cool to use this in the Illuvium overworld. And lastly, we've got a downloaded video, which I thought I set up, and clearly I did not. This will take me just a second. As we go through the leaks video, we can see that they actually leak weapons. I hope I haven't gone past it. Uh, there it is. Some new weapons for the Illuvium overworld. This one here, I suspect would be the Spatha or the Gladius. Maybe the Falcon, but probably not. And shortly after that, we've got what looks like either the Katana, the Dao, or maybe the Saber, but probably the Katana or the Dao, which looks absolutely awesome. Obviously, these are really early renders of what the team is cooking up, but you can see where my inspiration and this thing start to meld together, and we can really see how the new and upgraded weapon designs are going to happen in the Illuvium overworld, which is super exciting. They're not going to be ready for open beta, but I cannot wait until they're implemented. Also, don't forget to register for the beta down below using my link. I really appreciate it. The game is almost here.